This is the Annex, a sociology podcast. I'm Joseph Cohen from the City University of New York. Today, Jussie Smollett. Our panelists are Leslie Hinkson from Georgetown University, Jean Beeman from Purdue University, and Margaret Hagerman from Mississippi State University. Our discussion was recorded on March 27th, 2019.
Okay, everyone. So I just realized, I just heard this morning that Jussie Smollett is just going to walk. This after a grand jury basically indicted him and said, yeah, we think this should go to trial. And it seems as though he's allowed to walk. He forfeits his bail bond money. It's $10,000. It just goes back to the city of Chicago, and that's about it.
Well, I think he lost his role on Empire, right?
Yeah,
well, that's a pretty big price to pay.
That actually happened? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, I don't know. I assumed it did, but maybe it didn't.
Well, I've just been focusing on kind of the legal side of this, in large part because it goes to this conversation that that just got reignited again after we heard Paul Manafort's first round of sentencing, where he was getting 4 years, and people were saying, well, if we compared Paul Manafort to others who committed similar crimes but don't look like he does and aren't as wealthy as he is, we see that there are these sentencing disparities. And I think Rahm Emanuel, who's the mayor of Chicago, whatever, in his press conference was saying, this is, yet again, an example of how the wealthy and the famous, are able to, navigate a criminal justice system in ways that favor them, but that don't favor those who aren't as wealthy and aren't as famous.
You know what I thought of when I heard of the Manafort sentence? Do you remember that woman who got 9 years for voting twice in Texas?
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Yeah, you get 4 years for trying to bring down a democracy.
Yeah. But this is such a dispiriting story, and I originally didn't even want to put it on the slate just because what it's like, the Jussie Smollett thing. It's like, to me, it's like the race equivalent of, there's a certain type of argument that comes out of parts of the Jewish community where it's like, my attitude is, don't pull the anti-Semitism bell until it's really happening, because every time you pull the bell and it doesn't pan out, you waste it for people in the future. And it was really unfortunate that he did that. He pulled the bell and he did it for personal reasons. And I don't think it's indicative of anything. I think it's like an individual jerk who sort of did damage to an institution that people really need. And I got to tell you, all of my Trump-loving Facebook has been going on about that for 2 solid months. It was like the reason that they were looking for to not care about hate crimes or whatever.
Oh, God.
So
I still just have so many questions about this case, even when the charges are dropped. I mean, because I don't understand, even if this was something that he concocted, how that was even supposed to work. I don't, you know what I mean? I think that's just an odd strategy to get more money in the first place.
It was a stupid, he paid by check. So that's how well he thought it through. He paid his co-conspirators by check.
Although, also too, it as far as Smollett is concerned, he's like, would I be so stupid to do something like that? Although, actually, this does remind me of a Scooby-Doo episode, where, he was like, would I be so stupid to do that? Right? And, there's this, right. So
yeah, I guess I don't know. I have a lot of questions.
Oh, so do I.
I get stupid, but they're stupid and they're stupid. I don't know. You're smart enough to hire people to do this, but then you're stupid enough to pay with the check. I don't know how that works.
I don't know. The president did the same thing. So I guess you know how it's like Dunning-Kruger. When you're smart, you assume everybody else is smart, but when you're dumb, you figure you're really smart.
Yeah.
So it might be one of those things.
All right. Okay. Touche.
Yeah, I think most of us are confused. Like, I don't know what to think. Like, I want to
Yeah.
think that, that prosecutors in Chicago and law enforcement in Chicago did the right thing. And, for one of the first times in a long time in a public case in Chicago, we have seen that law enforcement actually did their job and
Mm.
did it with integrity,
Hmm.
right? But is that as far fetched to believe as believing that Jussie Smollett was actually attacked and that all of these other things are just all these coincidences?
Mm. Has he been getting a lot of blowback in the black community? Like, I mean, if a Jew did that with uh, like an anti-Semitic crime, I'd be very, very angry at that person.
Well, from what I've seen,
Mm.
and there's the black community, but like it's not
Right,
homogeneous.
obviously, yeah.
So from what I've seen, there are people who support Smollett, right, and saying like, come on now, right? We have to support him. If he says that it happened, then it happened, right? And why are we all of a sudden believing Chicago PD, right? But then on the other hand, there are people who are really, really, really upset. I mean, some of us who are old enough or kind of old enough to remember the whole Tawana Brawley case in New York City,
Mhm.
right?
What was
And
that? I have no memory of that or knowledge of it.
yeah, so Tawana Brawley was a teenage girl. This was sometime in the 1980s. And, she was late coming home and her parents got worried. And, eventually she's found, she's like in a garbage bag. Like there's dog feces spread all over her. Like,
Mhm.
she's got the N word. Like, I can't remember if it was written in dog feces or if it was carved,
Mm.
right? Into her, I think it was her forehead or her stomach, one or the other. I don't know. I was a kid when this happened,
Mhm.
and it was huge. And Al Sharpton was behind her. The entire, like, the black community in New York was totally behind her, and and she said that police officers were the ones who did that to her. They were white police officers who she said did this, um and what ended up happening was one of the police officers ended up killing himself because of it. And then over time,
Oh, I never knew that. Oh, wow.
yeah, and then over time, people started going, "Wait a minute, some of these things aren't adding up." And at the end of the day, like, I still don't know, and maybe it's because I was relatively young
Mm.
when this case was out, but I still don't know if Tawana Brawley, like, one story is she made this all up because she was with her boyfriend and she was late getting home, and this seemed like a much better thing to do than to actually go home and face the consequences
Mhm.
of her behavior. So that's one narrative, and the other is, no, this actually happened, right? And and for whatever reason, like, they weren't able to assemble like all of the proof and et cetera, et cetera. And I still don't know. Like, I still don't know.
Oh, I'm looking it up. She was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you're a kid, that's something else. I like, oh, that's just a sad story then, no matter what, if it's a minor.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's a sad development, and it's sad that it's sad that it happened like this. But what are you gonna
But I still not even sure what happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
same
so
here.
yeah, so that's why even when you say that, I'm like, what exactly happened? I don't even
No,
know.
and I don't think, and we don't know what happened. And I,
Yeah,
I think to this day, I believe Tawana Brawley like sticks to her story.
Mhm.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
her I don't question. Like, well, with kids is a special case in my opinion. But like, I'm thinking, I switch back to Jussie Smollett in my head, I guess, without saying anything. That one is it's a sad development just because of the effect that it has on delegitimizing, if it's true, the effect it has on delegitimizing hate crime reporting. So,
Yeah, although I guess I feel like people who are less inclined to believe hate crimes occur are still less inclined to believe hate crimes occur, whether or not this happened or not.
you've been listening to The Annex, an academic sociology podcast. You can visit our show site at sociocast.org/annex. We are on Twitter at Sociannex and on Facebook, the Annex Sociology Podcast. Our producer is Liseth Moreno. Music by Lena Orsa. I'm Joseph Cohen. Thank you for listening.